Hey guys, welcome to more CALLOUS Invitational 5 Round 2 Winners Bracket content. This is an Italian mirror match between Tricking and Umbry, who both had hard-fought 3-game sets in order to be here. Tricking overcame what seemed to be a really difficult, unfavorable matchup through fear to get here, and then Umbry fought her way through M-Dragon, which is always going to be difficult in a 3-game, basically TSS mirror match, and got the job done. I assume, both being Italian, that these players are familiar with each other. I have no idea how much they've actually played with and against each other in this tier, but I still would assume that they have a general idea of what they're going to be playing against here. One of them is going to have the week off next week. They'll be 2-0, and then the winners don't play in week 3, which is a wonderful place to be. The other, down to the lower bracket, not eliminated, and will have to fight it out in the lower bracket until they either win the tour or get eliminated, but they get no weeks off if you get knocked down there. So here is game 1 in the best of 3. So, Dua Lupa, that's Tricking on the bottom, Tuo Nanda, that's Umbry on the top, Meta and T-Tar respectively. Umbry doesn't like it, pulls it back, and goes to the Fortress. Meteor Mash, and Meteor Mash again. Spikes come down. And here's the Magneton switch. Do we do an Earthquake? Nope, no Magneton check. Opts for the counter in case there was an HP Fire from Meta, which there was not, and now HP Fire from Magneton is going to take out the Fori. Early lead for Tricking. Milotic, a great counter into Charizard. Shouldn't be too nervous about anything you see there. Fire Blast, even with that heavy special attack stat, only going to do 20%. Milo should be able to get a free recover on the switch, and does, and that switch ends up being Jirachi for Umbry. Magneton returns, and immediate Fire Punch, and a 20% burn kicking in. Good turn for Umbry. There's Protect, since she can't switch, she is Magnet pulled. But Protect is going to prevent that T-Wave from happening, and the burn will finish the job. Game has been equalized at 5-5. Umbry, of course, with that one layer of Spikes advantage. She wishes up in the face of the meta. Earthquake, and then Agility on the Protect turn. But the Rachi, in the meantime, gets back to almost full health after lefties. Zard reappears in case there's another Earthquake. Tricking doesn't fall for it. He's going to go for Mash, and he's now faster than the Charizard, so... But even with that, going to opt to switch out, doesn't try to get the kill, and the Rachi came in on the Milotic as well, so neither player too comfortable in that position. Wish, of course, because why wouldn't you if you're Umbry here? And there's really nothing other than Hypnosis that the Milo could do to threaten the Rachi, and it doesn't appear to have that, just going for some underwhelming Surfs, doing the first one 19, the second one 22, but no meaningful damage. Body Slam does find Para, which is going to activate Marvel Scale, which may or may not matter later. Doesn't seem too physical of an offense for Umbry. I see a couple of special threats. Rachi certainly not being one of them. This looks like an Astarachi. Some variant of Astarachi. The EVs vary. Sometimes you invest in attack, sometimes you don't. But the moveset is an Astarachi. There's Fire Punch, and both of them just sitting in here. Neither one can ever kill the other. This is a stubborn battle of not wanting to switch here, but neither one remotely a threat to the other. The damage here is pathetic. 7% fire punches, and the body slams are probably even less at this point because of Marvel Scale. 10% or whatever it was last time. Not that the surfs are very exciting either from the Milo, and it randomly skips turns, of course, because of the paralysis. So finally, Umbry gives up on it. She goes to Gar, and she picks a good time. It comes in on a full para. However, Will-O-Wisp is an over-prediction, thinking that Tricking would have switched there. In fact, he does not, and he stays in to recover. So Giga Drain now from Umbry. Does she not have T-Bolt? Giga Drain doesn't seem that exciting here. I mean, Gengar should still beat the Milo 1v1, but... I mean, that's not even guaranteed if Paraluck is not cooperative, and you do only have 8 Giga Drains, so Tricking could recover stall her out of Giga Drains here, again, assuming Para doesn't bite him in the butt. He doesn't even feel the need to recover here. He feels totally safe. He just goes for Surf. Here's Taunt to prevent the recover. What is the set exactly here? Will-O-Wisp, Giga Drain, Taunt, and one other move, which we haven't seen, but it's obviously not Thunderbolt, so... Could be looking at Ice Punch, D-Bond, Explosion, Fire Punch, all sorts of stuff. Critical Hit Surf is going to make it so we never actually see that final move. And another surf and another kill. Milo, the non-offensive threat, has somehow managed to kill 2 Pokemon here. Umbry's team seems very vulnerable to Milotic. Looks like a poke she did not want to play against, and it shows. Tricking with the lead on the back of that Pokemon, and it's going to leave us now in a 4-3 situation with Tricking having 2 unreveals on the back and dominating the tempo here. God, what is your Megahorn switch in now? Maybe Zard or Gengar could have come into Heracross before. Not sure what comes in now. There's a Brick Break kill after Umbry whiffs on a 50-50 protect. Breloom, the last hope for Umbry. Megahorn not taking it very well. Does get a Spore off, so she'll have to mount a 2v4 comeback with 2 unreveals on the back for Tricking. Tyranitar comes in on the sleeping Hera. That's a good start. Gonna have to DD up and have the Heracross never wake, but that is not what occurs. It wakes up immediately. 4x weak stab, Brick Break comes down, kills it easily, and leaves Umbry with only the weakened Breloom that cannot win. Tricking doesn't even show his last 2 Pokemon, and Umbry going to concede. Game 1 to the new gen god, Tricking. And Umbry, one of the strongest ADV players in the field and having one of the very best ADV seasons, is going to have to rally off 2 in a row. Certainly capable of that. At the time of this recording, she's in like round 13 or whatever it is, something ridiculous. Winner's bracket of the ADV seasonal. Obviously super capable. Really good player. But man, Tricking looks hot this tournament. He is playing very well. Can't wait to see Game 2 of the Italian mirror match here, and it's coming up right now. We'll switch those sides for continuity. Dualupa, Tricking on the bottom, Umbry on the top as 2-0 Nanda, and it's going to be Meta and Tar just as it was in the previous game, and this looks remarkably similar. Now we have a Magneton to Milo. Finally, we get a little bit of variance here as Umbry switches to a Bliss. She really, if you could have one criticism about Umbry's game, it would be that. It would be that she seems to only play TSS ever. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Her results speak for themselves. She's very successful in that, but the variance and the creativity is not there. She sticks to her guns and plays something along the lines of TSS pretty much 100% of the time. And Tricking has opted to combat that with a physical offense for the second time in a row. Meta Mag are both pokes that he had last time, but he's not able to catch the Skarmory with the Mag just yet. It makes a lot of sense to me, in Tricking shoes, that you would opt for a Magneton against Umbry, who's basically always going to have a Skarm or a Fori. She just doesn't deviate from that. So certainly if I were her opponent, I would also really consider Mag, so I understand and agree with the reason that Tricking probably chose these teams. Breloom seems to be a bit difficult, though. Sleeps lax, and here's Focus Punch, or threatening Focus Punch, after Substitute anyway. Psychic going to pop the sub, but it's actually not Focus Punch, it's Leech Seed. You've got to think it's last move Focus Punch, but for whatever reason she thought it was more important to Leech Seed there. Now Meta ends up back in on Tar, which was the lead matchup. And Mag tries to catch Skarm again, but gets Milotic instead. Right idea, wrong result for Tricking. Lax on Bliss. It's an opportunity if he wants to kill a Sleep Turn, and that's exactly what Tricking does. Opting for the Mag Doll, an even harder counter here to TSS teams. But again, I mean, when you have a narrow opponent who only plays 1 or 2 archetypes, yeah, I mean, I'm in Tricking's camp. Why wouldn't you counter team him? That's something if Umbry wants to get to the next level of ADV or that she's going to have to address. She's going to have to become more diverse and less counter teamable. There was a trade via Boom to catch Milotic with the weakened Metagross who had eaten a Fire Blast. We now end up with a very unexciting doll-on-doll matchup. Best thing either of them are going to be able to do to each other if they're running remotely standard sets is Psychic, which, as you see, is pathetic. 12% they're doing, and that is not accounting for the fact that both of them have Sand Immunity and Leftovers. They could both run out of Psychic PP before actually killing the other one with it. This is an absolute go-nowhere matchup. The Specs drop there changes almost nothing. Check out the follow-up Psychic, if there even is one, how much it does now that a Specs drop has happened. There it is. With a critical hit after the specs drop, 32%. And there's a specs drop there. There's a normal non-crit, 18%. Well, finally we have a switch. Tricking gives up on it, and he gets the T-Tire in on a Psychic rather than an Earthquake, only to go right back to Doll on the Earthquake and start this nonsense over again. Now Blissey comes in. That comes into an Earthquake, takes a decent chunk, about a third. We have the possibility of a boom here, but Umbry does not play around it. Stays in for soft-boiled as Earthquake comes down. That certainly doesn't mean that there won't be a boom, though. And it's almost certainly going to be boom Doll on this team as well, because paired with Mag, the refresh is a lot less valuable. Earthquake crit there, huge. Claydol should never kill Blissey without some serious nonsense, and that was indeed some nonsense. Relevant hacks for tricking. There is a crunch back for the critical hit revenge, but obviously a favorable transaction there for tricking. Leaves us in a 4-4. Skarm spiking up against a DD Tar. Rock Slide comes off, doesn't flinch. Roar, of course, brings out Magneton, the worst possible thing you can roar out. More bad luck for Umbry, and she finds herself further in the hole. 4-3 advantage. Oh, man, that's not a poke she wants to see. There's a Gyra in the back for tricking. Not sure what you're going to do about that. An explosion, but I mean, with Intimidate, yeah, that doesn't kill. Oh, the sand just barely gets her there. It said that tricking was at 7%, but sometimes the thing lies. The sand does just enough. Gyra there almost certainly would sweep. You click HP Flying, down goes Breloom. You click Earthquake, down goes T-Tar. That was a sweep waiting to happen. And the damage with the Intimidate exactly barely enough to keep her alive. So it leaves us in a 2-2 situation. Magneton, T-Bolt, Fire Blast. Umbry taking the lead in the late stages here. Umbry now with a 2-1 advantage. T-Tar the only thing remaining for tricking. Leaves us in a 1-on-1 situation after EQ. Here's the Loom, paralyzed. The problem is its only attacking move is Focus Punch. And tricking tries to throw by DDing there. If the Umbry had Focus Punch, we'd be done. There's Hidden Power. Focus Punch looking to send us to Game 3. But a full para happens at the worst possible time. And now Hidden Power again. You can't substitute anymore. Not enough HP. And now tricking is going to BS Umbry out. We've got a robbery in Game 2. Tricking going to take the set 2-0, but did not deserve this game. The Dragon Dance was a huge throw, whether Umbry subs or Focus Punches on that turn. You still lose pending full para. The way out of that game was to click Rock Slide indefinitely. The Dragon Dance was really bad. You go for the para flinch, and you get the Breloom that way. But man, that was a throw and a half for tricking. A major brain fart at the end there, but gets away with it. The full para saves his ass. The Focus Punch would have killed the Tar and sent us to a third game, the mathematical large majority of the time. But tricking bailed by a full para. The DD there was a bad play for sure, but gets bailed. So that is going to be a 2-0 victory for tricking. Again, when I criticize players for making mistakes, you have to keep perspective in mind. That was definitely a mistake. That was definitely wrong for tricking. However, if Umbry had won this game, as she was probably supposed to in this late game, in that case, we would have gone to a Game 3, and then who knows, maybe tricking would have won that game, and the result ultimately would have been the same. But yeah, I mean, from tricking's perspective, I mean, you can either Earthquake, Rock Slide, whatever. You can just do anything other than Dragon Dance. You can attack it indefinitely to disrupt Focus Punch, or if you're worried about Spore or Leech Seed or whatever, you could Rock Slide it down and go for Para Flinch indefinitely, which is what I would have done. Dragon Dance, what you're doing is you're opening up that you just lose to sub or you just lose to Focus Punch. Umbry did indeed go for sub, which I don't personally agree with. I think the only thing that's... Or maybe the sub is even right. Yeah, no, I lied. The sub is actually probably correct, because the sub plays around... Like, if the T-Tar just goes for Earthquake or whatever, and doesn't want to risk Rock Slide miss, for example, or hell, even if you do just go for Rock Slide, you eat it, then you sub up, and it gives you the game-winning focus punch pending full power. So I think Umbry actually played it correctly, and I think Tricking blatantly did not. And like I said, the majority of the time, that one turn, the focus punch either happens or it doesn't. Obviously, paralysis is 1 in 4, so 3 out of 4 times focus punch does happen. That time, unluckily for Umbry, it didn't happen, and Tricking is going to get the W. So Umbry, one of the strongest and most feared players in the tour, down to the lower bracket. Tricking, the new gen god, is going to have himself the week off next week. 2-0 in the winner's bracket. Let me know what you thought of the series and what you've been thinking about Callous Invitational 5 as a whole so far. Thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, por favor, and I will see you guys in the next video.